Let's start. Good evening and good morning, Unicorn fam. Welcome to the Crypto Unicorns Year Runner Town Hall 2023 with Aron Beierschmitt, Crypto Unicorn CEO and co-founder. Looks like Christmas has come early for everyone this year, based on our community's reaction to MFGA and Rainbow Rumble. This includes us here at LG. We're very happy to celebrate new milestones and victories with the Unicorn fam. Look at it after this town hall, by the way, for a Rainbow Rumble stream with me and Sayori. That's going to happen every day. We're going to stream Rainbow Rumble until Christmas. But first, let's come together as we have multiple times for the past year to listen to the wise words of Crypto Unicorn CEO and co-founder. Are you feeling the Christmas spirit, Aron?
Always and forever, Sparkly.
Love
Thank
it.
you. Thank you so much for the wonderful update. We made it. We made it.
We
I
made
believe
it.
it is December of 2023. This year was about survival. Next year is a return to success. That is probably the simplest summary to everything I'm about to update people on. So much alpha, too many things to talk about. I'm going to go into mostly product related updates because that's top of mind for me. We'll see what additional alpha people can extract over the course of questions. Sound good, Sparkly?
Absolutely. Love to hear it.
All right. Let's dive in. I mean, at the end of the day, first off, I'm thrilled by the positive reception to the Make Farming Great Again, aka Land Gameplay 2.0 update, which went out on Tuesday. This is another kind of major step forward in our shift towards a build and battle title. The follow-up to this release, 3.1, is going to bring the long-awaited tribes feature, which of course includes gem crafting all the way up through high-tier gems and unicorn burn via the glue factory, which every time I see makes me laugh. And the unicorn soul assets are awesome. Again, the art team just keeps knocking it out of the park. Vertical for progression for corns is really the crux of that release. Yes, the social and kind of cooperative gameplay of tribes, but foundationally, the first reason to get into a tribe, the first reason to join a tribe, the reason to get in a tribe that's coordinated, that's actually going to progress the tribe buildings, the gem works, etc., is because the strongest tribes are going to certainly have access to crafting the strongest gems. So it benefits you to find a group, a tribe that are going to work hard and stay coordinated and take on challenges together. So something to really be thinking about as we get into the new year and really need to, it's going to be important to pick the right tribe. I'll say that again. So, make that decision of, who you want to be in your tribes for sure. After that release, you're going to see us begin to layer PvP systems into the core game. This will be layered out over a couple of releases and include the integration of Match 3, Team RPG, which will start as an asynchronous PvE tribe v tribe battle mechanic that we're very excited about. Tribes will start to produce things out of an armory that other tribes go in and attack, which should be a lot of fun. And then eventually this will scale to Arena PvP. Arena PvP is going to be the feature that wipes the floor with Axie's gameplay. I'll just leave it at that. Last thing on the core game, I think the time is now, friends. Please leverage the referral program. Help us scale this experience. I got a lot of great feedback from Goliath Rules and a lot of the Pirate Nations kind of crew that was coming over that struggled with the last iteration of gameplay and is now coming in very excited to dive in. And so that's been a wonderful anecdotal piece of experience. Obviously, we're certainly seeing a reflection in the KPIs of both churned accounts that have reactivated into the experience post this update, as well as new players coming in. And that retention is looking good. I've been telling the team internally, let's not take a victory lap yet. We want 3 or 4 weeks of data against this, but it's really promising to see, especially given we kind of changed just about everything you could imagine about the game and the experience with a single update. All right, let's talk about the second and third party ecosystem. Obviously, you saw as of yesterday, Rainbow Rumble is launched and out the door. If you haven't played it, you need to give it a try. Massive shout out to the Devoted Studios team, as well as the one and only Rice, who hero moded that project as the executive producer on it for LG. Marketing plans are kicking off as I speak. We have kind of the one and only Mitch on a multi-prong approach here. We're doing free NFT giveaways on Facebook. We've absolutely seen that work in the past. I think the core game still has a lot of friction relative to Rainbow Rumble in terms of getting in and getting set up and getting ready to play. And so I'm very interested to try a campaign that we already saw lower the cost per click when we were offering value to players instead of the traditional free-to-play begging you to click or trying to fool you with some trick. In addition to that, we have Dot ad campaigns. Dot is a Web3 specific ad network, so you will see potentially ads on some popular Web3 sites and blockchain explorers for crypto unicorns. We're going to be doing Twitter giveaways. We're going back to the Pirate Nations crew because that's actually been the most successful cross promo campaign that we've done to date. So we're doubling down on that with a large giveaway to their community as well. We're going to see how TikTok performs as well. So massive shout out to Mitch on getting this set up and prepared, and these being kicked off again as I kind of speak. And you're going to see multiple campaigns kind of going live over the next few weeks into the holiday season. And then, as we get back into the new year, it's going to be about doubling down on influencers via the Creator Cup event, which will occur in January. With that event, we'll be tying a Rainbow Rumble specific referral campaign. And it's really simple. Influencers that drive real players get paid. We're going to find out how many of them really have audiences that are willing to actually get in and try games. This is the future of how marketing works in this space, and free to play. Again, it is please try my free game, and then I'm gonna, as a developer, try to do everything I can to squeeze you and to monetize you. And in our world, we say, hey, try the game, here's value. If you don't like it, you can sell that value. Ultimately, you still need successful products to succeed, right? To retain and capture enough value without leakage. Nothing about that has changed, but we already are seeing positive momentum on that front. And anyway, I'm just super excited to have another PvP skill-based competitive loop added into our ecosystem. Again, on this one, do as much as you can to share gameplay videos, right? Let's really take the opportunity to blow this up. All right, lastly, on the product front, the unicornparty.com team continues to work towards the full platform release in December. With this initial launch, you're going to have the paid rooms open back up, as well as the ability to use Fiat and RBW to purchase tickets for these rooms. This upgrade is also going to include the launch of Trivia. For those on, who are mobile gamers, you may remember a title called Trivia Crack. It's kind of very similar to that. It is not just unicorn-specific trivia. It is broad trivia. And then in January, you're going to see Bingo go live. As a general reminder, for those confused about the strategy there, real money skill-based games are one of the few segments of mobile free-to-play that are actually growing in the current climate. Mobile, for the first time in its history, had 2 back-to-back years of decline, which really signals that that platform has matured. It's gotten very hard for new developers. Let me rephrase that. It's gotten very hard for any developer without a massive marketing budget to succeed, and you've just seen the innovation in the mobile space really cap out because it's too risky to do anything more than try to clone Supercell at this point. Again, real money skill-based games, though, within mobile are the only segment that has been growing over the last few years, and this is the only genre of free-to-play that allows players to actually make money. So for me, that sounds like a really good cohort of spenders to introduce to the power of Web3 gaming. So that's the strategy for Unicorn Party. That is the reason behind it. With the launch of unicornparty.com and again, so the website has all the apps on the site. On mobile, you're going to download the individual games. Somebody asked a question about that, and I think I answered it, but it was a good question to ask, like, why separate apps on mobile? Separate apps on mobile let us market different experiences to different players, and ultimately, like, bingo may be cheaper to acquire players than trivia, or trivia may be cheaper, or mob run is cheaper, or bump. I don't know. We're going to experiment and see. Once we understand the game that is cheapest to market, that's where all the marketing spend is going to go until that fatigues. And inside of the game itself, you cross promo the other titles with a direct click to download in the mobile store. So again, I know some people have questioned unicornparty.com. It is not necessarily this like hardcore crypto native title. I would argue the core land gameplay is that. And so if you have friends that are that, point them in that direction. For others, what I want to see is, can we get you just generally playing games that we know have high retention and high monetization potential? And then through leaderboards and giveaways, can we then ramp you into other titles, whether it's Rainbow Rumble or the land gameplay experience? So we should all be looking at unicornparty.com as an acquisition tool, a way to expose our IP to an audience that we feel is going to be high overlap potential. And I would say, again, a group that is already used to putting money into a system, putting their skill on the line, and potentially making more money if they happen to be competitive on those loops. Anyways, I mean, another year in the books. I'm really looking out ahead to 2024, and it feels positive and super exciting. So that's it for my high level update, Sparkly. I'd love to dive into questions, and we certainly have a lot of time today as this is the last town hall of the year. So excited to get in the weeds with the community and see what's top of mind.
Absolutely, Aaron. So, for everybody there who wants to ask their question, please head over to the feedback channel. You're going to see a channel there for the year ender town hall questions. Make sure to ask your questions there. All right, let's run by the rules real quick before we get to the questions. We have a 3 questions per person rule. If you have a question that has already been answered, we'll move on to the next question. If it's going to be a Zendesk issue question or something about your account, we won't be honoring that here because it can be best addressed on Zendesk on your ticket. To ask a question in voice, please press the request to speak button. That looks like a raised hand. You can queue up at any time. And once we accept your request, you'll see a green bar at the top of your Discord. Click accept to begin speaking. We also have written questions. Again, that's in the feedback channel in the town hall thread. Take note that spoken questions are going to be prioritized over written ones, and you can also head on stage and ask any question that's written there that hasn't been asked yet. But first up, we have the anonymous questions. We have 4 questions right now, so we're accepting one more. Ask your question, chat. Okay, we have anonymous person number 1. What is LG's thoughts regarding MFGA RBW emissions? RBW is pumping really hard for the past few days, but they gave a lot of liquidity for the T3 mats, which doesn't make sense to me. I thought we already have jousting for the greatest RBW emission. The price went from 0.01 to 0.06, and now it's back to 0.03. Uh-oh. Oh, okay, there we go. All right, Aaron's back. Hey!
I meant to unmute. I don't discuss price, so I'm not going to comment on that, other than to say you're incorrect because it's 0.039. On the, we had 2 choices there. We could have put very little liquidity in the RMP to begin with, and there wouldn't have been any ability at all to sell the tier 3 materials. And we chose to reward players who had been here. I'm always somewhat shocked at the short-term mindset of some people. But again, we watch the markets very closely, and it's not just, it is not, price movement is not being driven exclusively by those who sold tier 3 materials. And many of the people who sold purchased other things. So if that's really the concern, I would look a little deeper in the data yourself. Again, we could have done it another way, low liquidity, But typically every time we've added RMP items to since launch, we've always added it with more liquidity and allowed the amount of quote unquote dumping to occur for people who actually had inventory balances. Tribes is foundationally built on tier 3 materials. And so I've said this before and we've repeatedly done it. I like to punish people who have short-term mindsets. So I will remember people who come back later and complain about their tribe being behind or them being kicked from a tribe because they can't contribute at the level that their tribe requires because they were short-term mindset here. But yeah, not concerned about it. We ran the models. This is a temporary thing. And obviously we can look at everyone's inventory and understand how quickly y'all are going to run out. So we modeled it. It was low risk, unconcerned.
We stand from anonymous person number 2. Do you plan to enable rewards for kicking expired deposits from staking? This is a vault question.
No, I do not. At this point, I want Vault to fix the issues. Our web team needs to take over that interface because I'm tired of that being subpar relative to the rest of our web experience. The Vault team themselves are more responsible for the security of that, making sure new badges get added and all that kind of stuff. The statement of it was promised, whatever. We're going to always err on the side of being transparent with the community. I've seen this kind of time and time again. People take screenshots or whatever. Everything we say is always subject to change. So unfortunately, we're going to leave those deposits there. They're not harming anyone.
All right. Okay, next question. Oh no. Hello, Aron. Can you recap the firing of LG James in detail?
No.
Classy. All right, next. When is the fix for the tons of current? This is Zenda's question, y'all. We ain't asking that here. But to answer this person who was asking about the state of high tier coins that were stuck, we are indeed working on that solution. And the CS team is evaluating each case one by one, and we'll get back to you on your ticket. So stay tuned. Look at your ticket. We'll answer you there.
Yeah, the simple answer there is no one's getting fixed because we fixed the issue going forward. We're going to pay out the value of those corns and be done with this. The issue should be fixed going forward. I'm not going to devote engineering resources to fix those specific corns. We're going to pay those people out. It's an expensive hit for us as a team, but the resources are more valuable focused on the next few releases. Given we now have validated that this cannot occur again. It's unfortunate that the issue occurred. It was a combination of a bug plus the high gas issues that we continue to experience with frequency on the lovely Polygon proof of stake network. And again, this is a decision I'm just saying I've made, which is we're going to pay out the players affected and move on.
All right. So please keep that in mind, everybody who's asking about this issue. The Zendesk team will get back to you, but they're evaluating this on a one-by-one basis, so it does take some time. Okay, and that's it for the anonymous yeah, that's it for the anonymous questions. No, somebody added one new question just right now. Any plans on moving to the Ronin network?
No.
Short and sweet? All right, and those are all of the anonymous questions that we have. We are now moving on to written questions, and for those who would like to speak on the stage, just raise your hand. I'm pretty sure I saw Terroric do that earlier. You can do it again. Okay, we have Sigurian. With recent changes to staffing related to jousting, what's the general approach or change LG is thinking of with this loop? Will this loop go through a complete redesign of the gameplay or simply more rebalancing of stats?
I'm very excited about the direction with jousting. We're obviously leaning very heavily into Vincenzo and a lot of the ideas that he has around the sim. At this point, we've made it pretty clear we've open sourced the model and the algorithm, and we're looking for feedback on it. This is a thing I'm excited to try. I know he's in the process of working out a tool. And so the first major move in the new year on the jousting front is going to be a rework of the algorithm itself to remove a lot of the constraints that the current one has and effectively rebalance the loop across the board. What I'm hesitant to do is like add interactivity to it. If you want interactivity, go play Rainbow Rumble, right? Like for real. So I want to try to fix some of the issues um, as a starting point there. And I think we have a really good set of next steps between both Vinicello's ideas, what the design and product teams have presented to the community a few weeks back as far as jousting updates and changes on that front. So pretty excited by the direction and the fresh start that I think we have working more closely with the community going forward.
Love it. Okay. Next up, we have, yeah, this is definitely a joke question, but I'll mention it anyway. So Daffy is asking, is it today that we hear Sparkly Unicorns sing? Trust me, you do not want to hear that. Ziori can like back me up. You don't want to hear that. Sid is asking, when multi-box opening and lag, when does it go away?
I can't answer that. You need to send in your device specs and explain why you're still having app lag, quite frankly. The number of performance improvements we've pushed, we're now hitting the limits of what is possible in WebGL.
All right. But you did mention multi-box opening. Is that something that we're considering? I believe there's like opening multiple loot boxes at the same time for the core game. What do you think?
We are looking into that for the next update. Yep. It would be per
Ooh.
loot box type. I'm not going to give you some open all boxes. Games have loot box openings. You have all seen CSGO people opening hundreds and hundreds of boxes, one button click at a time. I do think there's some merit to allowing multi loot box open per type, but yeah, slow down the dopamine roll and be patient and enjoy the experience.
Next update, huh? Ooh, chat. Next update. Get excited. Okay, and then another question from Daffy. What are the plans to address the high gas fees for the Shadow Coins? I believe this is for Twilight Tactics.
Likely a chain migration, just not to Ronin.
A chain migration? Chat, did you hear
Yeah,
that?
we'll have a bunch of stuff on that. I want to be cautious about what I say because we have a community of certain members that are going to hold whatever I say against me. So we've been working on this for a very, very long time, and we are in a number of partnership conversations. And as you can imagine, despite what some of you were saying 45 to 60 days ago, which ironically enough was when everything you're now seeing was being worked on. So I will never forget that moment in time for our community. So many people gave up right before. Point being, people outside of the series channel and Discord recognize the value of our brand and what we've done for the space. And other founders in the space regularly come to me for advice on how in the world we've survived as long as we have, especially with a live game and live product. So I've been somewhat optimistic going in and having conversations with a number of potential partners. And we're getting close to making a decision on that front. And I do feel like this is a great, great way to preserve some of the momentum that we're seeing. But it has long been known that we've outgrown Polygon proof of stake, and I have no interest in continuing to try to optimize the experience on Polygon proof of stake. And there's a number of, I think, pretty fantastic options on that front, despite the fact that a migration of 45,000 lines of Solidity code and other partner contracts is going to be a massive lift. And we'll slow down, the core dev team's velocity. But it is been in consideration for quite some time. And yes, I'm hopeful in the new year shortly to have a major announcement on that front.
The near, huh? Okay, that sounds like a very exciting time for the community. Once we put it on our calendar, we will make sure to hype the community up and to remind them about it because this is big news. This you never run out of surprises. That's all I'm gonna say.
We've been very hard at work, is the thing that I want to continually reinforce to everyone here.
Yes, sir. Wild. So I see people tagging the buzz, see people tagging Sam Martin. Yeah, people are going to love this. Okay, let's see. Do we have any more written questions? Come on, chat. I know you have questions. Come on and ask them. But while I have you here, how do you feel about the new draft proposal of JPB3 about Unicorn Fight Club?
I love seeing proposals from community members who have been here a long time and been active. I mean, he's been a council member, et cetera. And so it's great to see um, this, and it's what I hoped for. I wanted the second and third party efforts that we here at LG have been working very hard on for over a year now to be a signal to other developers and partners in the space that our ecosystem is one to build on. So yeah, I'm super stoked to see people from our community coming forward with ideas to build additional um, battle loops for our ecosystem. So I'm pumped to see it. I'm very excited to um, hear feedback from the community, and I hope that this acts as a signal to more people to step up. Again, a massive shout out to like Venicello, who's toiled for a long time on tools for the community, and I think more recently has gotten the recognition that he deserves with the proposal that went through and was voted on. Um, and successfully passed. So that's a wonderful thing. Ironically, we voted on that proposal, but I did screw up the vote in our Gnosis safe a little bit by closing the window. So it didn't get reflected, which was somewhat unfortunate, but I was happy to see it pass on the community alone. So that's a massive win. The proposal from JPB3, again, I hope to see more of this. I really hope to see more of this. Together, we can move forward a lot quicker if it is always the community on one side of the fence pointing at the devs and the devs toiling away. It's just not great. So every single time we've pulled back from the community, it has been a mistake across the board. And I really hope to continue embracing the community members who are stepping up to be helpful. Even if they're critical at times, I think it's really, really important to embrace that. It's Oh my God, I forgot to talk about the DAO. So I've received shareholder and board approval to transfer the IP and the treasury to the DAO itself. So this is going to be another big series of announcements in January. We're actually spinning back up our PR firm to try and shout this from the rooftops because we're the first project in the space to actually give token holders um, control, which is going to be crazy and I'm pumped about. But I mentioned that because, it really ties into this DAO process. I want crypto unicorns to be a place that people come into and go, uh, I have something to add, right? I have value to add. And there's a process by which they can actually get support from the DAO to bring that value to our community. So, yeah, I mean, I cannot be more excited by that. I hope it continues to differentiate us from many of our competitors who fake the DAO process, quite frankly. And again, I want it to be a signal to the wider world that the crypto unicorns economy is open for business, and we're excited to invite more people to come in and collaborate and build inside of our ecosystem.
Wild. Absolutely. It's hard
I
to.
keep leaking alpha. I'm probably not as excited as I really am just because I'm a little under the weather. It's been a tough week. I'm kind of low on gas, but like it really is incredible what we're doing on that front and sets us up again as a truly differentiated entity and continues the steps we promised from the beginning in terms of progressively decentralizing. Um, Again, not just the frivolous things, but the treasury itself. So it's exciting times. It's exciting times. And I think what's top of mind for me, what should be top of mind for everyone here is how do we preserve momentum? Somebody talked about the dumping of tier 3 materials. If we get 500 new players, there is so little inventory existing in the current system, right? That like there's only one direction for price to go. So it's one of these things of everybody needs to focus on now is the moment to reintroduce crypto unicorns to people who checked it out in the past and didn't like it, or checked it out and didn't try it before. Like, go forth and do your part to bring some new people in. The one thing that, sorry, I'm on a mini rant. Is this okay, Sparkly? I'm just going to kind of keep ranting for a second.
We love rants. We
All
love
right.
rants.
I definitely went through a moment this year where, faced with some of the absurd things people were saying, a lot of the pressure from the community. I've even had some of our investors fight me on this. Like, I did kind of go through a point where I finally almost weakened on my conviction, almost lost conviction on the vision, right? The features have changed, the roadmap has changed, but the vision around how we build this ecosystem, the vision around ensuring there was economic depth inside of the game sim, like all of these pieces are really in place. The hill I will die on is no one has ever seen an economy of our size spin up. And we've just retuned it in a way that I think maximizes that moment. So that's the piece. We're gonna, again, you can't say when marketing. Marketing is happening. We are pushing as hard as possible. It is super meaningful to bring a new DAO in and get players started, right? So try to do as much as you can is what I would encourage the community right now. The moment is now. We have to stand out from the noise of the space, and the GameFi sector is beginning to heat back up. So if I have a fear right now, it's that we're getting left behind again by projects with a token and no live product. And I need to prove to myself, to other founders in the space, to all of our investors, and to a lot of members of the community that you can actually have a live product and a token and have both do well. And that's the thing that we've only seen instances of, which ultimately collapsed, right? Their economies collapsed. And everybody's been charting the course to what is a sustainable product in the space. I believe we have the makings of one now. And hearing people talk about make farming great again, update, the thing I keep seeing is people say the word fun. That is fantastic to hear. That is the beginning of a system that onboards and retains, and systems that onboard and retain tend to be pretty sustainable. So we'll see. Again, not taking a victory lap yet, 3 to 4 weeks needed to really get a sense for where we're at. But again, now is the moment. We need to be showing growth and scale, and that will help drive other very, very important KPIs that act as signal to people who are just looking to hold tokens. I recognize there is a market for people who are just looking to hold tokens. We've seen this cycle before. We've seen the effect that it has had on RBW before. You want to correlate the bull market prices with a single KPI. Go back and look at the RBW holder graph, and you can match the straight upward line to 10,000 holders with exactly when price was the highest. We need to inflect growth. Let's work together on it.
Reach and work together we shall. We have
One day at a
another
time, for
question.
sure.
Absolutely. We have another question coming up. From Dexter's Revenge, what are the next steps for Minion Forge and Twilight Tactics?
We had a number of discussions on Twilight Tactics. Minion Forge is a little bit easier to think about because, there's opportunities to add more levels, and we know that we have high tier minions coming. Twilight Tactics is a little bit of a struggle for me. That's one where, and I've addressed this in the founders channel, I've addressed this to a number of players that have come to me. The big failing on my part this year was stacking too many competing priorities on top of a team. And we've definitely struggled to ship quality products across all of the competing priorities simultaneously. And so with Shadow Forge going out, when it launched, we were under the gun to create Twilight Tactics. Otherwise, you're just going to see a system that's inflating minions, infinitely. And I was very worried about, not launching Twilight Tactics kind of quick enough. It didn't give us enough time to play test it internally and get a feel for balance. We also originally designed it in a world where Tribes and Gems was going to ship earlier. So players over the course of the season were going to have an ability to actually progress their corns via gem upgrades, and send them back into the forest to be more competitive. And then, of course, we didn't really go back and change it. So there's a number of things I'm going to own on that front as mistakes in how I directed the product and the product team at that time. Looking out to the future of Twilight Tactics, I want to be confident in not only balancing changes, but some other tweaks before we formalize what season 2 looks like. So I want to be really, really, really careful on that front. And then, quite frankly, this chain migration combo plays a lot into this because, how do I put this without leaking too much alpha?
Oh my gosh.
In August of 21, I will 100% forever stand behind the decision to go to Polygon proof of stake because Arbitrum and Optimism weren't launched yet, right? And you had Tron and you had BNB. The space has advanced, significantly since then, and there's just a number of benefits no matter what we choose in terms of single slot finality, not having to wait confirmations, having extremely low or potentially even gasless transactions, right? And so there's a lot of friction that we can remove, not just from Twilight Tactics, but the entire product suite just by being on a chain that doesn't have reorgs, that doesn't have extreme gas spikes and things of that nature. So there's a little bit of this where I'm kind of like, if we strip all of that friction away from Twilight Tactics and introduce balancing changes, does that get it to the point where everybody enjoys it? Because we see the fun of Shadow Forge being ritual mints. I've been very excited to see that constant interaction in the Shadowcorn holders channel where people are trading these things. It's wonderful as game devs to see a thesis play out, or I think people are going to like to kind of collect and trade these. With Twilight Tactics, the response was obviously not great. And so again, what I'm debating is how much work do we put towards it versus chain migration, and do we wait until post chain migration to kick that off? So keep the feedback coming with respect to Twilight Tactics. The Shadowcorn arc of this loop and the importance of Shadowcorns and minions is something that's very top of mind as we look to the 2024 roadmap. But the exact sequence of features and releases is something that I'm still debating, especially in the context of just knowing that pulling the trigger on a chain migration is going to give us a real opportunity to, by default, improve the player experience across all of our loops. which is very, very exciting. I think we've had a lot of success even with a product that we knew had high friction points. We've done our best to optimize and reduce those friction points. But again, the space has evolved. There is more sophisticated infrastructure that we could move and deploy to, despite the enormous migration hassle and pain that will cause. I think on the other side of that is a really bright opportunity to actually introduce our product to a new audience, a new set of players, and obviously keep the momentum and excitement that we're kind of seeing in the market today moving in the right direction.
We have a follow-up question about chain migration. Is there a target date for this?
No, I'm certainly not giving you one. There is a target date, but I'm not saying anything right now.
Aaron, you've grown. You've gotten better
hmm
at not sharing alpha. I'm so proud of you.
hmm I don't see LG
Yeah.
Rob in here, but I don't want him flying over here to beat the shit out of me today.
Hilarious. Okay, so
Announcement
I'm
wise, though, targeting
uh-huh.
January. That is one thing I will say,
Ooh.
and
Okay.
I'm getting pretty close. I have a few more meetings. Again, I'm there are a lot of groups competing right now for crypto unicorns, which is very exciting and a good reinforcement that builders in the space recognize what we've achieved, how long we've been here, and what we've done. So I've been very, very happy to engage in these conversations. And I do want to say too, like Polygon Proof of Stake has its problems. There's a lot of really cool things happening with Polygon CDK. And so again, there's many possible paths that see us both stay inside of the ecosystem. There are paths that see us roll out Rainbow Chain. There are paths that see us land on some exciting new networks that have just begun to kind of launch and roll out. So there's a lot of opportunity in the space right now, and I'm very, very excited about the conversations that we're having. So yeah, I'll kind of close the book on this chain migration stuff and tell everyone again, look out for exciting announcements in January, which, with more Unicorn Party, with the second Unicorn Party launch that month, the Creator Cup, etc., the lead up into the Tribes release. Like again, it is all about preserving and accelerating momentum. Right, we need to keep this drumbeat going and keep the excitement and the hype going. And we've certainly seen migration announcements work very well for many other projects in the space. So I think it will do the same for us.
Absolutely agree. But I do agree that we need to step away from this conversation, I think, because Tara's setting up a betting pool for which chain we're going to be joining. We don't want to give anybody an advantage. Okay, let's talk Twilight Tactics. So there was this conversation earlier that players say that they believe there's some sort of bias in Shadow Corns winning in this first season of Twilight Tactics. Do you agree
There
with that?
was. Yeah,
Will
there was.
changes be made?
Yeah, so sorry. That's kind of what I was saying before. Originally, it was designed with the idea that Tribes and Gems would be live at some point during the season, and then there would be a really strong driver to equip unicorns with gems, obviously upgrading their stats and sending them back into the forest to take on the shadow corns. It's a classic example of, and I'll own this one again. It's a classic example of not making a change when other things shift around. And shadow corns are very powerful entities within the unicorn universe. So, on some level, it was again intentionally designed that way to favor them, with the intent of gems being the stopgap, allowing unicorns to quote unquote kind of catch up over the course of the season, over the course of the first season. Obviously, by the time Twilight Tactics goes live again, we should have Tribes and Gemworks, assuming no changes after the chain migration timeline gets finalized. But yes, to answer the question directly again, like it was intentionally designed to favor shadow corns with the intent of gems being the way that unicorns could make up that gap. Um, we should have them live next time, and there will be rebalancing of the system because we want it to be a competitive tug of war experience where obviously the shadow corn holders are very incentivized to keep it going as long as possible, given their um, passive earnings of the shadow corn attacks, which of course get more powerful when Twilight Tactics activates. So yeah, that I hope any follow-ups to that question, happy to answer, but that's the overall context on why the first season was tuned in favor of the shadow corn holders. And again, a mistake I openly admit that I made in terms of not going back and requesting a rebalance as other things in our roadmap shifted around.
All right. Oh, we do have some hard-hitting questions right now from RxIS. What is the current runway without any new funding? This was mentioned at different times as the end of Q1 23. I don't think that's right, buddy. And the end of Q4 2023. Can you confirm which it is without additional funding? Also, how's fundraising going?
Fundraising's going terrible, but I've found alternative sources of financing um, that I won't speak to in this format. So I'm feeling pretty confident entering the new year. And after our tokens up hundreds of percent against Bitcoin over the last few weeks, we've seen the most growth into the product in 18 months. I sure as shit am not going to look at cuts here right at the end of the year.
All right. Let's see if you have any other questions. I don't think this is a serious question, but let's see. Vesper is asking, are we going to have a battle mode in Twilight Tactics where Shadowcorn shoot unicorns with laser guns? I
That
mean, I
sounds
guess
like a
not super
wonderful.
specific. Yeah.
That sounds like a wonderful community-led minigame.
FPS dubs, hit us up. Why were RBW prices so high for tier 3 mats? This was the best way to get RBW out of its upward trend. This is a question by Jackie Ace.
I've already answered this, Jackie. I'll answer it again. We just set the liquidity high, knowing exactly how much inventory everyone had. And again, there was like a net stash out of 1 million RBW. Not all of that got dumped. And we're talking like tens of thousands of dollars worth of value on that front. And I'm just not concerned about it. We will punish those who dumped all their tier 3 mats and are going to struggle to get enough to progress in tribes and progress their which equals their ability to progress their own corns. And so people who are short-term mindset, who bring a short-term mindset to gameplay, I think we've repeatedly punished. The other option was to just launch with very little liquidity. And, I think people would have still maybe sold. It just not relevant based on our calculations. It's just not. And the idea that this dumping is just being driven by those players is not true either.
Sorry, we just got a long question. For Rainbow Rumble, okay. Dexter's Revenge is asking, right now, Rainbow Rumble matches are definitely expensive and hinder player growth. Wouldn't it make sense to make all games free and charge RBW for power-ups? Rewards could be in the form of a daily leaderboard instead of in every match. This way, competitive players will go for power-ups to get on the leaderboard, and casual players will help with queue issues, as they will play for free just casually for fun.
Turning this into a free-to-play game makes us competitive with Stumble Guys and Fall Guys, and those games have already won mobile free to play. It's absurd to try to pivot into a free to play title. If there are not enough players that are simply willing to risk on the back of their own skill in this current market, then Rainbow Rumble was always going to fail as a product. And I'm just not concerned about trying to, again, pivot it into a free to play product that would need a free to play content pipeline and a free to play live ops. And again, Stumble Guys, one of the most successful mobile games of the last year behind Monopoly Go, and Fall Guys, right? The opportunity here is, hey, what is the differentiator between Fall Guys and Stumble Guys? Is you play a game and you win and you actually made money. So it has a very distinct purpose as a product, and trying to shift it outside of that purpose is not going to work in my mind. Like, if we can't get enough liquidity to fill those lobbies off of the current kind of Web3 market, then we have more problems. And it will be more of a factor of, does the bull market come back in time?
That definitely makes sense. And I feel like it's too early to tell, DR. I think you should tune in to our stream, me and Zori, later on after this town hall and
Yeah, you're
take a look at
judging
the
a
player
product that
liquidity.
hasn't even launched yet, right? Like, it's been in soft launch. I've been pretty sad that even our own community can't drive enough liquidity to that. And many of you seem unwilling to risk RBW. We just talked about all the RBW we gave all the OGs who had tier 3 mats, right? So again, we look at wallets. Y'all have plenty of RBW. Be willing to actually take risk on your own skill and come in and play.
So I'm gonna be real with you, Chad. I've gotten really good over the last couple of days. So bring your best. Terrorect has a question. Can you share your experience so far with the no holds barred type of chat that the community has, specifically in the Serious channel? What was your expected and unexpected experience or outcome so far for Crypto Unicorns this year?
I mean, there have been moments that Sirius has been a pretty toxic cesspool. And in particular, 45, maybe 60 days ago, which again, like, to have to deal with comments like that in the middle of working on all the things that are now launching and seem to be starting to work, it was a very, very frustrating experience. Talking to other founders in the space, like, gamer communities have always been pretty difficult. So there's nothing new about that. And we have taken on the additional challenge of managing these real asset economies. So I recognize that, people get very emotional and very frustrated at times. I would say it doesn't excuse you on, just being generally kind of a shitty human being. So there's a list of players certainly in my mind that made the naughty list this year, and I guess I'll kind of leave it at that. The positive side of the Serious channel is that there are a subset of players who've brought forward really great feedback and then have actively engaged as team members have reached out. And I can't thank those people enough. So it's an interesting thing. I mean, we've had a number of conversations internally around, do we go the Axie route of just kind of banning FUD and being incredibly heavy handed with respect to the Discord? And we kind of keep taking the harder path of trying to chart a course where people can come in and speak their mind, obviously without violating the rules. And so it's certainly something that, despite the pain and hassle, I still feel like is a net positive for our community. But yeah, it's not fun at times, and I would lie if I haven't been insanely frustrated by some of the silly things that have been said in that channel. Always keep in mind the team reads that. And again, a perfect example is during that period of time, which I would consider kind of a low point since we launched the project. Everything that is now happening was being worked on. So it is very difficult for the team at times to open up that channel and see some of that. Yeah, I guess that's my off the cuff comment on that front, right? There's pluses and negatives, or positives and negatives to it. But we came out of a lot of internal conversations and ended at the point where we want to err on the side of openness, because I think the benefits outweigh some of the negatives that occur.
Very fair. Very fair. Although I do have to add, looking at Sirius right now, it's hard to imagine is the same Sirius that it was.
It's been a 180 pivot.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been a 180 pivot,
wild, very
which has
wild.
been fantastic.
It looks like
It's now more
everybody.
meaningful to come in
Yeah.
with feedback and things. So it's wonderful to see. I will never forget the people who kind of turned coat. But it is what it is. Everyone is a free, autonomous human being, and you make your own choices.
Very true. And we have another follow-up question for Terrorec. For the new chain, what would the average TPS be? Oh, he's fishing. He's fishing.
High enough. High enough.
High
There.
enough. Love it. Okay. All right. And I think those are all of the questions that we have for now. Wait, I do have a question though. What did your Christmas look like? And what do you have any like special Christmas message for the community?
I just hope that everyone has a wonderful holiday season. It's been a very, very tough year, and I'm certainly looking forward to getting out, touching some grass, technically touching some snow, seeing some family, getting some Rainbow Rumble grind on. I plan to join a few of the streams. And so, yeah, I'm just looking forward to closing out this year. And I really think the markets are shaping up. We've seen kind of this brutal 2 years at this point, and things really feel positive. It's probably my greatest frustration with all the venture combos I wasted time on the last 4 months is just the idea that they're 6 months behind every cycle, so they're still a little too conservative, I think. And I'm a believer that we see ETFs approved in the new year, and a halvening is kind of a 1-2 punch, and we have seen this pattern before. So and I mean, holy shit, the federal Jay Powell held rates. So all signs point to a really positive 2024. And so I tell everyone, rest up because next year's going to be crazy.
Looking at the calendar, I might have to agree with that. Super excited. Wait, we have one last follow-up question. This does seem to be very relevant. Is the new marketplace built by LG planned at the same time as the migration?
It will depend on the migration timeline. That's actually a great thing to remind me about. We are actively pursuing that effort now that the web team got through the Twilight Tactics work. So that is proceeding forward. I know we've circulated a video of that interface, which I believe is pinned in some channels. So you can get an early look at what that's shaping up to be. And yeah, there will be a decision of do we deploy currently and then look to, move it, or do we just wait? So that's something I don't have an answer for at this time, and we're still trying to consider it.
All right. That is our final question, which concludes our year-ender town hall. As for other questions, if you have any questions, leave them in the thread and we will do our best to answer them later. We'll see you next year for an entirely new slew of town halls, with each and every one of them containing exciting info for the Unicorn fam to enjoy. You mentioned something earlier, Aaron, about the first town hall in January being especially juicy. Do you want to share anything extra about that?
What should be after the chain migration announcement? We'll have a lot to talk about then. Obviously, we'll have outlined and be working towards the Creator Cup. We'll have a Unicorn Party, a second game launch on the platform. We'll be full steam ahead on performance user acquisition for Unicorn Party, which should be, we've seen other projects, spike on silly install announcements, which we can do too. And
Yes, sir.
yeah, I mean, there's other things that we didn't cover today. More centralized exchange listings in the future, continued liquidity scale. It's exciting times. It's exciting times. I would really focus on finding your tribe mates and getting kind of excited and prepared for that next launch and all the intermittent releases across the ecosystem of second and third party titles. So exciting times ahead. I wish everybody a wonderful holiday season and looking forward to 2024.
Absolutely. As Tarek says, may our bags be chrome and shiny. So we'll post a recording of this in our socials if you would like to give it a re-listen. And don't forget to share this with your friends and fellow Unicorn fam who couldn't make it. And if you have more burning questions, ask us on our support channels, the Mod Support channel and the Ask the Devs channel. Finally, this has been Sparkly Unicorn with Stealthy on Tech, hosting co-founder and CEO Aron. Good morning, good night, and see you in game, Unicorn fam. Ooh.
Ooh, thanks all.
Thanks, everyone.